Indirect, lower-level technical talks between the US and Iran are underway in Doha. Reports suggesting today's negotiations will focus on the release of frozen Iranian funds as well as the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's delegation is led by Deputy Foreign Minister Kazem Gharibabadi. US envoys Steve Witkoff and Kushner will not participate in today's session. They had met with Qatar's Prime Minister in Doha yesterday. Now, Iran's lead negotiator has emphasized face-to-face talks will only take place once conditions of the interim memorandum signed last month were met. Separately, a trilateral meeting between Iran, Qatar and Pakistan was held to review implementation of the MOU. Meanwhile, Iranian state media says a foreign vessel has run aground after sailing in shallow waters outside Iran's approved route through the Hormuz Strait. Iran's Revolutionary Guard had warned vessels to only transit through the corridor south of Larak Island, the sole approved entry and exit route set by Tehran. And Jagruti Dave has been tracking developments for CNA, and she joins us live now from Washington, D.C. Jagruti, Iranian officials are saying both sides still need to iron out the terms of the interim deal before they can tackle more difficult topics, which includes, of course, Iran's nuclear program. So how intense are negotiations at this stage?
I think, Angela, talks are likely to be pretty intense given that they come off the back of military escalation and that which could return at any point, as we've seen the unpredictability of the situation. And we've also seen the mixed messages from both sides about the nature of the talks that are taking place in the first instance. So they didn't get off on the right foot yet again. And as you say, the main point here appears to be the release of those frozen funds, tens of billions of dollars of Iranian assets around the world that have been frozen. Now, Iran is very insistent, it seems, on discussing the unlocking of some of those funds before they can progress onto other talks. Qatar and the United States have said that funds have not yet been released, but this is really a crucial point for talks to progress. The other issue, of course, is the Strait of Hormuz. Escalation regarding the status of the state of the strait happened only recently, and that crucial waterway accounts for 20% of the oil trade around the world, and that has pretty much come to a standstill since the start of the war because of threats to vessels in that strait, and that has caused oil prices to spike to beyond $180 a barrel at its peak. They've dropped back down to pre-war levels around $72 a barrel, but any destabilization in talks could send prices spiking or wobbling again. And I think there's incentive globally and on both sides for trade to resume along that crucial waterway.
Right. Now, let's turn to another sticking point, Lebanon. Now, Israel's defense minister says that the troops will stay there indefinitely. So how could that affect negotiations?
Well, there's a real sense that the situation in Lebanon is tied to a broader deal. That is what Iran is calling for, the cessation of all fighting on all military fronts, including Lebanon. And we've seen in the past that spikes in fighting in Lebanon have delayed talks. And so any disruption in Lebanon could have the potential for destabilizing talks again. Now, the situation in Lebanon, as you've mentioned, Israel's defense minister saying that Israel could stay indefinitely in Lebanon. Now, that is something that in the terms of the talks, the peace agreement between Israel and Lebanon, that is something that Lebanon does not want. They want the removal of all troops out of the country. That's what Hezbollah would like. Israel wants the complete disarmament of Hezbollah, which they have termed as surrender, and they have rejected that. So there are complications here. Whether that's going to completely derail talks, that's unclear, but it certainly has the prospect of delaying and destabilizing if there should be a resumption of fighting in Lebanon.
Jagruti, thank you for bringing us up to speed. That's Jagruti Dave reporting for CNA, live from Washington, D.C.